This video takes a detailed look at the input setup menu on the Theta Digital Casablanca 4A cinema processor. This menu configures the preferences of each of the 12 inputs of the Casablanca 4A, such as the default mode, PCM upmix default settings, and mapping the physical connectors on the rear panel to the individual inputs. Before proceeding, please read the following sections of the Casablanca 4A Quick Startup Guide. Page 14, which covers naming inputs and mapping physical connectors by input. Page 15, which covers the Dolby and DTS pages. And page 17, which covers assigning the default mode used by each input. Upon turning on your Casablanca 4A, you will see the home page. Choose the input you wish to configure by buttons 1 through 6. To scroll to the remaining 6 inputs, press the right level pad as shown. We will be using 4K VD for this example. Then, to enter the menus page for the selected input, press the Setup button. Press button number 1, INP, to access the input menu. Then, press button number 4 to access the menu which allows you to assign the physical connector on the rear panel to the selected input. This page shows the available physical connectors which can be assigned to the input which you selected. For our selected input example, the connector options are HDMI, analog, and off. With HDMI, button 1 selected, you can press the upper or lower level pads to scroll through the available physical HDMI connectors. For example, HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 3, and so on. Similarly, if you choose the analog connector, you can scroll through the available choices such as analog 1 and analog 2. We have selected HDMI 2. To accept this change and return to the previous page, press the Setup button. To return to the previous page, press the Setup button again. To return to the home page, press the Setup button again. From the home page, you can choose another input or configure the remaining preferences for your original input. Press the Setup button to proceed. Press button 1, INP, to proceed to the input configuration page. We will now configure the default mode for our selected input. Press button 5 to select Mode. With Mode selected, press the upper or lower level pads to scroll through the available modes. We have selected the stereo mode in this example. We will now configure the brightness of the main display. Press button 6, VFD, to adjust the brightness of the display. Press the upper or lower level pads to scroll through off, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, or full brightness. After you have set the brightness of the display, press the AD button to access the next page of input menu options. We will now configure the upmix options for PCM signals. Press button 2 under PCM. Press button 1 under upmix to enable changes. Using the upper or lower level pads, you can choose either Dolby or DTS upmix options. Dolby is the default setting. We have changed the upmix mode to DTS. Press the Setup button to return to the previous page. Press button 3 under Dolby to configure the night settings. Press button 1 to enable changes. Press the upper or lower level pads to turn night mode on or off. Press the Setup button to return to the previous page. Press button 4 under DTS to access the DTS options page. Press button 1 to enable changes. The DTS options page enables the volume of the LFE channel to be reduced on DTS sources for which the bass seems excessive. Here, the LFE level has been reduced to -10. And here, the LFE channel has been disabled for DTS sources. Press the Setup button to return to the previous page. Press button 5 under MDLY to access the settings for master delay. Using the upper and lower level pads, you can change the master delay from 0 to 32. The numerals on the display are multiplied by 10, so 2 would equal 20 milliseconds, 10 would equal 100 milliseconds, and 32 would equal 320 milliseconds. Here, the display is 10, which equals 100 milliseconds of delay. And this shows a 320 millisecond total delay. Press the AD button to access the next page of settings. Press under Name to change the name of the input. Press button 1 again to enable changes. Use the left and right level pads to select the character you wish to change. A cursor will appear under your choice. Use the upper and lower level pads to scroll through the available characters. The last character is shown selected. When finished, press the Setup button to return to the previous page. To change the jitter jail setting, press button 3. Use the upper and lower level pads to turn jitter jail on or off. Jitter jail is shown on. Press Setup to return to the previous page. Press the Setup button again to return to the home page. This completes configuration of the Input Setup menu. Please see the Theta Digital website for our other instructional videos to help you in achieving full enjoyment from your Casablanca 4A cinema processor.